250.
באמת?
Yeah. At KSP or Ivory, probably, if they have them in stock.
Yeah. Shalom, Shlomo. Shalom, Yuda. Come on. Welcome back.
Thank you.
I'm fine.
Thank you very much.
Good to see you all. Shlomo, how was your week?
Improving.
Improving. Okay.
We can get out. We can go to restaurants. It's nice.
Yeah.
Masada Street is returning to life.
Yes. We also. Oh, shalom, Gary.
Gary.
I was chosen. So Wendy?
Last Friday night, I had 2 of 3 families that I've got in Israel for Friday night dinner. That was the first time in a year. And the third, it was 11 of us. And the third son, who they said it was too many people, they didn't come. But we'll do it another time with them. And the one in New York, I've got to wait and see if I can go to the wedding in June.
You have the wedding in June? Wow.
Yes. At the moment, I don't want to go to America at the moment.
It's not as much a question of if you can go, it's a question of if you can get back.
Yes. Mamash. You can be stuck in the...
Mm-hmm. Yeah. A friend of mine was stuck in the US for 2 months.
Oh.
While the airport was closed. I mean,
it
shouldn't happen again.
Shalom, Shalom, Sharon. Shalom, Katrina.
Hello.
Good to see you all.
Good to see you all.
תודה רבה. מה שלום הבית החדש?
מצוין, תודה.
כן.
מתקדמים, כן.
Hi, Sharon.
Hi, Wendy.
Hi, how are you?
Hi, nice to see everybody.
Hi, Lynn.
Hi.
Hi, Katerina.
Hi, everybody.
I saw you earlier.
Hello, Medina.
Briefly.
Hello.
You were walking by.
Yeah. You know, Sharon, I've been walking,
well, I got it in my ears.
I've been walking through your street in Henrietta Sold, נכון? Almost every day now, because I'm looking for my cat, my kitten.
Oh, that's right. Haven't you
George? Oh, I didn't realize.
You know, I go to the area of the hospital and the area that she was lost, even at 5:30 in the morning, 10 o'clock in the evening, because people told me go when in quiet hours. And and with food and with and I put
I don't understand. Where did she go missing from your house?
No. I took it to the vet. I took her to the vet, and she just, I don't know how she opened before I got to the clinic, she opened the door of the cage, you know, the cage.
The cage, yeah.
And though she ran away, she was frightened.
And what street was that?
Bracha Chabas. In the beginning of Bracha Chabas, near, you know, to the direction of Hashmonaim. And someone called me yesterday that she saw her near the hospital. So I immediately went there, but you know, she doesn't wait for me. Anyway, if anyone sees, it's amazing.
Do you have a picture of her? Or do you have a picture of her you can show us?
Yeah, I can send, maybe not now, but I will send it, and I already put it on Facebook. Shalom, Rivka. Okay, I think we can start.
I don't have Facebook, so I wouldn't see it there. But
okay, good for you. Kol hakavod.
I retired from Facebook about a year ago.
Don't know.
And now you have twice as much free time.
I do. It's because I was going down that rabbit hole that I stopped.
Yeah.
Lynn, I went by to put something in the mailbox in my old apartment, and I saw my old kitchen in a garbage tip. Just took apart my kitchen and just tossed it out. Okay.
Okay. So I
Lucky
think
you've got a beautiful new kitchen, Sharon. There's a lot of noise.
That's a
There's
lot of noise,
of
Lynn.
yeah, there's a lot of noise, and please mute yourself. What to do? The figure from this time, I remember.
Remember. Well, let's do it.
There was so many. So hopefully,
I'm still getting a lot of noise. So you,
Rivka Shalom. Wait, can you read? Ginny, can you hear us? Because the noise comes from the.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what? I will try to.
שנייה. Yes, I'm here, Oris. I'm here. I'm just, you can't see me. They just painted my apartment and I am a mess. So I'm here. I'm listening.
Okay, Yofi. So good evening to everyone. So today, hopefully, we will finish the story of Esther. And, you know, we have still like 7, 8, 9. Well, chapter 10 is very short. So we have 3 more chapters to read and study. But I don't really want to continue after this class. So what we will do, I think probably we will talk about a fewer subjects that normally, but yeah, that's okay. I mean, I chose few interesting, I think, subjects to talk about. So let's begin to read. Before I forget, next time it will be exactly before Pesach. Okay?
רואים חצי ממך, אורה, לא רואים אותך. אני לא יכולה כלום לעשות, אלא אם כן האחרים בסדר.
I see myself.
רואים אותך עד הפה, לא יותר.
I'm sorry, did you say exactly before Pesach?
Yeah, I think it's
Next week on Thursday?
Rega, no. You're right. Yeah. It's next week is better, not in 2 weeks.
Next week, yeah.
Yeah, you're right. So you know what? It gives me. If you would like, I thought to do it the Thursday before Pesach, just to do one class about the Haggadah. I mean, of course, we will not read it all in the class, and to Malin Sakacha. No, לא מתאים?
I could not possibly do this next week. We have to start washing dishes. We have to set the kitchen up for Pesach. I have to start cooking.
Okay.
I am absolutely not available next Thursday night.
Okay. Too much things to do. Yeah.
And there's just so much stress involved with the Saturday night Seder that it's just.
Yeah. Okay. So, okay, whatever. So maybe next year or something, we'll do something. Anyway, so let's begin to read chapter 7 in Esther, and we will read now the whole chapter. Okay, so 10 verses.
Ora,
could
we meet during Chol HaMoed Pesach?
Yes, I think yes.
Because then we can talk about Pesach. Because the April 1st is during Chol HaMoed.
So you mean the next the Thursday of Chol HaMoed?
The Thursday of Kol HaMoed, the first.
Okay.
Adina, what do you think of that?
That's fine.
Yeah, that's fine.
That's fine with me because that only involves, that's fine. That's like any other Thursday.
Okay. So maybe we'll do one class about the Haggadah, and then we will go back to Leviticus. Is that all? Okay, so let's begin.
Aura, I have something on that Thursday evening, but don't count on me. So
Okay.
if everybody else can do it, that's fine.
We can discuss. I will send a reminder on the WhatsApp, and then we can discuss.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So Shlomo, can you read chapter 7? And just unmute yourself. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So the king and Haman came to feast with Queen Esther. On the second day, the king again asked Esther at the wine feast, "What is your wish, Queen Esther? It shall be granted you. And what is your request? Even to half the kingdom, it shall be fulfilled." Queen Esther replied, "If your majesty will do me the favor, and if it pleases your majesty, let my life be granted me as my wish, and my people as my request. For we have been sold, my people and I, to be destroyed, massacred, and exterminated. Had we only been sold as bondmen and bondwomen, I would have kept silent, for the adversary is not worthy of the king's trouble." Thereupon King Ahasuerus demanded of Queen Esther, "Who is he, and where is he who dared to do this?" "The adversary and enemy," replied Esther, "is this evil Haman." And Haman cringed in terror before the king and the queen. The king, in his fury, left the wine feast for the palace garden, while Haman remained to plead with Queen Esther for his life. For he saw that the king had resolved to destroy him. When the king returned from the palace garden to the banquet room, Haman was lying prostrate on the couch on which Esther reclined. "Does he mean," cried the king, "to ravage the queen in my own palace?" No sooner did these words leave the king's lips than Haman's face was covered. Then Harbona, one of the eunuchs in attendance on the king, said, "What is more, a stake is standing at Haman's house, 50 cubits high, which Haman made for Mordecai, the man whose words saved the king. Impale him on it," the king ordered. So they impaled Haman on the stake which he had put up for Mordecai, and the king's fury abated.
So this is, as we know, the second banquet of Esther after the problem of the complexity between Mordecai and Haman was solved, right? And now we ended last time with the question in about verse 7. Okay, verse 7. After Esther talks, tells to the king this dramatic thing, this dramatic information about the man that wants to kill her people. The king, in this dramatic moment, just gets up and goes to the garden. I mean, why? I mean, why? What do you think happens to? I mean, it doesn't make sense, right? I think when I read it, all of a sudden he needs to check his orders. I don't know. And so, what? Do you have any ideas for that?
Yes, I have an idea.
Yeah.
I think that Haman was his trusted advisor. To get this kind of news is so shocking that in order to understand it, to absorb it, to figure out how to react, he had to remove himself from the scene for a little while, just to give him some space physically and mentally to consider what to do.
Yes. I agree with this, and it is we will get into details, but this is I think the direction of this. Anyone else wants to add on that?
He's suddenly faced with the dilemma of a person who has worked for him supposedly faithfully for so long, or his wife. And there's a real dilemma there. He's promised something to his wife and has to think of which one will basically benefit him better. And any man knows happy wife, happy life. So
you think he said, "Oh, which one I have to believe, my wife or my?"
Well, to believe or to please.
So he had to think about it, right?
Mm.
And no matter what the reason is, but he had
Look,
to.
the wife was fresh. They were married, for a short while. He doesn't really know her.
Yeah.
She might have a different agenda. Haman was his trusted advisor. It's an extremely difficult situation that she put him in.
But
And
Haman does not.
I'm sure that women in those days, the opinions of women were not given the kind of weight that the opinions of men had. So if Haman was, his advisor, and Haman is a man, of course he's going to believe Haman over his wife. But so
Haman does not deny it at any point. He doesn't say, no, she's lying. That's not me. I'm not trying to do that. Haman never denies it. He just, when the king leaves the room, he starts pleading for his life because he's, a coward. And
wait. I want to stay before he. And you're right, because in 6 it is written Haman Haman was terrified. I mean, Esther tells tells the king what she told him, and Haman was terrified. He didn't say as you said now. No, it's not true and all that. But I want to make it.
Well, can I ask a question?
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of the phrase in Greek drama, Machinas Dei. And if you read it backwards, they just need to get him out of the room so Haman could be left alone with the wife, which would be the final nail in his coffin.
Exactly, yeah. So we will get to this final nail.
I also want to say something. It seems to me in chapter in number 5, the king says, how dare he to say he doesn't know who it is at this point. And he's already making a statement, whoever it is, I'm going to punish him severely. And then he gets a shock because he finds out it's him.
I see what you mean.
Then, because to control his emotions, he has to leave in order to sort out what's going to happen, because he didn't expect it.
Yes, okay. Yeah, I think you all going to the direction that he has to think about it for a moment, to be alone.
He has to make a rational decision. And so the king, in his fury, he has to calm down and make a rational decision. So that's why he goes to the garden. Okay.
Now, are we talking about the Hashverosh? The class, when we talked about the Hashverosh, we said he's drunk. We said he doesn't do any rational decisions. We said all kinds of things. We said he's not not so wise and all that. And here we meet another Hashverosh. He has to calm down before a great decision. He even, I would think, what does he care? So what? So they want to. So someone wants to kill few people from his empire. I didn't get the feeling until now that he cares about things like that. Okay. Now
I would have to say sort of the opposite of what people are saying, that he's the king. he doesn't have to make sense out of it. He doesn't have to make a logical decision. He's the king. You know, the old, it's good to be the king thing. You can do whatever you want. But I think he sees from his own self-interest which way is better, which one counts more for him.
No, but he obviously has tremendous attraction for his wife. And we see this all the way through. She's chosen out of all the others. And she comes to him when she's not supposed to come to him. And he just takes her hand and offers her his kingdom. Mm-hmm. So there's that attraction that maybe overrules the fact that he trusted Haman in the past.
Yeah. But that was the deciding factor. He goes out of the room. He comes back. He sees Haman on the bed with Esther, and he thinks that Haman is trying to ravish his wife.
Yes.
And then he makes the decision. So he's still rash.
Okay.
It's like when Vashti didn't come to the party, and he's saying, "Okay, get rid of her."
Yeah.
And this is all more serious. We don't know what happened to Vashti, but he says, like off with his head, or something like that, because he says, what is he now trying to ravish my wife?
Yeah.
And so this is a decision made in anger. It's not a rational decision, because we don't know what he was going to say. We don't know what he would have done if he came back into the room and Haman then starts pleading his case. But Haman was trying to plead his case to Esther, and Ahasuerus came back in and took it as Haman is hitting on my wife.
Yes, I would like to stay for two more minutes on the second that he goes out, before he come back. Okay, come back. Now look at and it is as I said, in the direction of all what you said here. Look at what Esther says to him in number 4. And can we, I mean, in English, it is, for we are sold. And I want to focus on the Hebrew now. כי נמכרנו אני ועמי, etc. ואילו לעבדים ולשפחות נמכרנו, החרשתי. Okay, so she says we were sold, but and I wouldn't, if we would be sold to force into slavery, I wouldn't bother you. It is not so important. But we were sold. So sold in this sense, and what there is in the biblical Hebrew. To be sold has two meanings: to be killed, to perish, and to be sold, as we know. Okay, to be sold to slavery, for example. Okay, so two meanings: to be killed and to be sold for slavery, into slavery. Okay. Now look what Haman said when he asked the king to do this. It is on chapter 3, verse 8, I think. Verse 8. Look at chapter. Maybe I can share it. Okay. You see, everyone see it? Okay, Lynn, can you read the verse number
8?
8 and maybe 9. It is,
okay.
9. Yes.
And Haman said unto King Ahasuerus.
No, 9. You're reading the 8.
Oh, you want just 9?
Yeah. That's
if it please the king, let it be written that they be destroyed, and I will pay 10,000 talents of silver into the hands of those that have the charge of the king's business to bring it into the king's treasuries.
Okay, now I will thank you. I will read the Hebrew. אם על המלך טוב ייכתב לעבדם. So Haman uses the word le'abdam. Now, usually we understand it as to be killed, okay, to perish or to be killed, because le'abed is the obvious meaning is to what we understand, okay, and because of this, also the translation is to be destroyed or things like that. I will go back to our chapter. Okay, so I found a very interesting commentary about it that says that, wait a minute, I can't see you all, so I want to stop share. Can I, do you have the text if I stop sharing?
No, I don't. Oh,
okay,
yes, I do on my phone, yes.
Okay, you know what? I will try to, because now I can see the setup. So there's a very interesting commentary about these two words in Hebrew, le'abdam and nimkarnu. Now, le'abdam is, as we said, to be killed, but it is also to be sold into slavery. In another place in Deuteronomy, and maybe I don't have the time to show you now, but it says mechira le'avdut in Deuteronomy 28, 63, 68. Never mind. It's also to be sold into slavery. So we have two meanings, and as Esther said to the king, nimkarnu has also exactly these two meanings: to be killed and to be sold into slavery. Okay, so you are following me. So we have le'abdam and nimkarnu, which means to be sold into slavery and to be killed. Now, when Haman says to the king le'abdam, he does not detail what his meaning, what he means. Okay, he just said le'abdam. Now we know what he means, right? We know he means to kill them, to kill all the Jews. But maybe the king understood something else, because there are two meanings for this. Okay, maybe the king understood, and look also when in the verse that Lynn read, there is something about money, which is very unclear. Every time I read this verse, I don't really understand what this money issue, because it says that Haman will bring the money to the king, but it doesn't say what this money, where it is from. And the commentary says Haman is so obsessive about killing all the Jews that he will pay, because if they will kill all the Jews, the taxes will be lower. I mean, not lower. They will get less taxes because there will be less people, right? So Haman said, "Okay, I will pay from my own money. I will pay but it's not so clear, all this issue of money. Now in the new meaning that we know of the word le'abdam, that is to be sold for slavery, what do you think Ahasuerus could understand? Ahasuerus could understand that, okay, he means to sell them to slavery, and then the money will be, we will sell them to slavery, so we will get money. Okay. Now, let's go back to Esther. What Esther is saying, she is saying really very, she's very wise, because she said, if we were sold to be destroyed, if we were sold to be only to be slaves, I wouldn't disturb you at all. This is less. This is okay. but we are sold to be killed. And then, so she uses another word, not le'adam, she uses the word nimkarnu, to be sold, but that has the same two meanings of le'adam, and she details the meanings. Now, as I understand it, Hashverosh understands what she is saying, and he is so angry. Look, it is, and the king arose in his wrath from the beginning. He goes out because he understands that he was cheated by Haman. It is not only to who I will believe, what to decide, what to do now, what I have to think. He was cheated, and now, only now, he realizes that he was cheated by his servant. And this is, I think this is very, very strong. I think this is a very strong understanding of this situation.
But the other thing is, if we have to think about it, when Haman told the king that there were a people who were against him and plotting against him, he didn't actually say it was the Jews. He said there's a people.
Yes.
Okay,
right.
so then when he discovers, excuse me, I'm going to cough. Excuse me for that. When he discovers that not only is it the Jews, but that his wife is a Jew, then of course he really feels cheated.
Yeah, you're right. Just notice that Esther doesn't say she is a Jew yet. She's not. I think it is not mentioned here. It says, "For we are sold, I and my people." It is, first of all, it is a new Ahasuerus. It is a new Esther. Esther is taking responsibility for her people. She is the queen now. She behaves like a queen, like a leader, like a real. She says, "My people," and this is very, royal phrase to say. And she doesn't say it is that she's the Jewish people. I think the word Jewish doesn't appear yet. But so even this, I think that the real reason that Hashverosh went down to the garden is he realizes what Haman did to him. Hashverosh doesn't care so much about killing people. I'm sorry, it doesn't seem to me so sensitive. But this, to be cheated by his own servant, the servant that he advanced and all that, this is the end of the world. And then coming back to the nail in the closet, he comes back and sees what he sees, and this is right, all it takes is to be raining, and that's it. So what do we think about this commentary? I found it very, very interesting, very, put everything in a whole.
כן. אורה, אני יכולה להעיר משהו?
כן.
Number 4. No, 4, yes. כי נמכרנו, for we are sold, I and my people. I understand that it was in past tense. כי נמכרנו, for we were sold.
Yes.
And we explained this, not chapter, איך אומרים פסוק, שכחתי. If we were sold, we have to read, if we were sold,
yeah.
I and my people, the situation will be כך וכך. כלומר, אם אני נמכרתי, אני ועמי, ולא הוציאו אותנו להורג, ניחא, אני עוזבת. אבל פה יש משהו שזה in the past tense, and I think that before Haman came, they were sold, not by Haman. Esther and the people were sold time before, and now there is a time or situation that we will be perhaps killed. הסברתי את עצמי, קשה לי מאוד עם האנגלית. זאת אומרת, אם הם נמכרו בעבר, ועכשיו הם עומדים אולי להיהרג, אז היא אומרת, אם נמכרנו, דיינו, אבל להרוג את עמי, אני מתערבת. הנה, היא אומרת לו,
אבל, אוקיי.
החרשתי, היא אומרת לו, החרשתי. ואילו לעבדים או לשפחות נמכרנו, לא נורא, אני החרשתי. אם את יכולה להתייחס לניואנס הזה של זמן עבר וזמן עתיד. אין פה הווה, יש פה זמן עבר וזמן עתיד.
So what Rivka said is she distinguished between we were sold in the past and this is post-slavery and we are going to be killed. This is in the future. Okay, something like that, if I understood correctly. Adina, you wanted to say something?
Yes, I think it's a very interesting interpretation, but it also makes me wonder if part of the reason that Achashverosh leaves is that he realizes that he was complicit.
He was?
That he was complicit. He was part of it. He was involved in the plot to kill Esther and her people.
Yeah.
That he was, because he made this deal with Haman, and you could say that, in a court of law, he would be guilty if it came about. So he has to kind of come to terms with not only was he betrayed, not only was he cheated, but he was drawn in to be part of the plot.
Yeah. Yes, yeah, very, very nice interpretation. Okay, let's move on, unless you want to say another thing about this issue. And we will read chapter 8, but in a different way, because as I said, we don't have much time. So I will say a few words before. Chapter 8 is the big success actually of after they hanged Aman. Aman is no more an actor here. So it's the big success of the activity or the relationship between Achashverosh and Esther and Mordechai. Now they are the best friends. Now they work together. Esther keeps and more asks more and more things, and Achashverosh agrees, and it's a very pro-Jewish chapter. So it's very interesting to read this chapter in comparison to the chapter of when Haman did everything with the king. So chapters 3 and 4. Okay, they are almost the same sentences, you will see. And just a minute, I will share it. Okay. There. So. Okay, so you see this, right? Now I will try and see if it's, you're free. Okay, so all the chapter that we can see. I put verse compared to another verse in each chapter. We will not read everything because we read it and all that. But I do want us to read the yellow one. Okay, it is just it's a very strong and it's a very strong inversion. And the inversion, of course, we will talk in chapter 9. But look, the inversion is also in the text itself, not only in the story and what happened in the story. Okay, so Yuda, would you like to read only the yellow one?
Yellow, it's red.
Yeah.
Red.
So you read.
Yeah, it's
so
red.
You read from this side and then this side.
Yeah.
Okay.
And in every province, whithersoever the king's commandment.
No, here. You can you see here? It's chapter 3, verse 10. And the king took his ring, and then chapter 8, verse 2.
No, it's not on the screen.
It's not on the screen, no.
It's not on the
It's
screen.
something different and it's in red.
I know. What's okay, just a minute. I know what's happening. Okay, now it will be just a minute. Okay, now you see it, right?
Ah.
yeah, I know. Okay.
In chapter 3:4, yes. And the king took his ring from his hand and gave it unto Haman, the son of Hammedatha, the Agagite, the Jews' enemy. And the king took off his ring, which he had taken from Haman, and gave it unto Mordecai.
Thank you. And next one here.
And the king said unto Haman, the silver is given to thee, the people also, to do with them as it seemeth good to thee. Then the king Ahasuerus said unto Esther the queen, and to Mordecai the Jew, write ye also concerning the Jews, as it liked you, in the king's name, and seal it with the king's ring. The copy of the writing to be given out for a decree in every province was to be published unto all peoples, that they should be ready against that day. The copy of the writing to be given out for a decree in every province was to be published unto all the peoples, and that the Jews should be ready against that day to avenge themselves on their enemies.
Look, until here it's the same word, the very same word, and here we have the addition of the word the Jews. Here it is not mentioned. Okay, and then in the end.
Now, when Mordecai knew that all that was done, Mordecai rent his clothes and put on sackcloth with ashes and went out into the midst of the city. And Mordecai went forth from the presence of the king in royal apparel of blue and white, and with a great crown of gold, and with a robe of fine linen and purple. But the city of Shushan was perplexed, and the city of Shushan shouted and was glad. And in every province, whithersoever the king's commandment and his decree came, there was great mourning among the Jews, and fasting and weeping and wailing, and many lay in sackcloth and ashes. And in every province and in every city, whithersoever the king's commandment and his decree came, the Jews had gladness and joy, a feast and a good day. The Jews had light and gladness and joy and honor.
So it's really, you know, sorry?
What? Tenki Alanu.
Yeah.
Then Havdalah, that's our response.
Yeah. So you see how the writer planned this story. It's really the inversion, and we will move on. Actually, I think we read the most important verses in the chapter 8. We will move on to chapter 9. So what do you think about this comparable? Really, I think nice comparison between the two chapters.
Absolutely. I never realized it that there's some parallelism. It's beautiful.
Yes, yes. You know, I realized this the first time when I read chapter 4 in Purim, and all of a sudden I read chapter 8 with the beginning of this verse, and it's the very same words, and I know it continues with Evel Gadol, and then all of a sudden joy and all that. Okay, so let's move on to chapter 9. Okay, so chapter 9, we will read. Okay, so chapter 9 is the most long, it's the longest, and we will read until, like, let's say 1 to 11, and then 11 to 22. Yes. Okay, so Adina, would you like to start? Okay. Would you like me to put the?
I have it. And so, on the 13th day of the 12th month, that is the month of Adar, when the king's command and decree were to be executed, the very day on which the enemies of the Jews had expected to get them in their power, the opposite happened, and the Jews got their enemies in their power. Throughout the provinces of King Ahasuerus, the Jews mustered in their cities to attack those who sought their hurt, and no one could withstand them, for the fear of them had fallen upon all the peoples. Indeed, all the officials of the provinces, the satraps, the governors, and the king's stewards showed deference to the Jews because the fear of Mordecai had fallen upon them. For Mordecai was now powerful in the royal palace, and his fame was spreading through all the provinces. The man Mordecai was growing ever more powerful. So the Jews struck at their enemies with the sword, slaying and destroying. They wreaked their will upon their enemies. In the fortress Shushan, the Jews killed a total of 500 men. They also killed Parshandata, Dalphon, Aspasa, Parata, Adalia, Aridata, Parmashta, Arisai, Aridai, and Vaitata, the 10 sons of Haman, son of Hamdata. No, I didn't do it all in one breath. The foe of the Jews, but they did not lay hands upon the spoil. And when Elisheva reads that on Purim, she does it all in one breath. As is traditional. Anyway.
Let's continue to the other half. Sharon, it's from 12 to 22.
And the king said unto Esther the queen, the Jews have slain and destroyed 500 men in Shushan the castle, and the 10 sons of Haman, when they have done in the rest of the king's provinces. Now, whatever thy petition, it shall be granted thee, and whatever thy request further, it shall be done. Then said Esther, if it please the king, let it be granted that the Jews that are in Shushan to do tomorrow, also according to this day's decree, and let Haman's 10 sons be hanged upon the gallows. And the king commanded it so to be done. And a decree was given out in Shushan, and they hanged Haman's 10 sons. And the Jews that were in Shushan gathered themselves together on the 14th day also of the month Adar, and slew 300 men in Shushan, but on the spoil they laid not their hand. And the other Jews that were in the king's provinces gathered themselves together and stood for their lives, and had rest from their enemies, and slew of them that hated them 75,000, but on the spoil they laid not their hand. On the 13th day of the month Adar, and on the 14th day of the same, they rested and made it a day of fasting and gladness. But the Jews that were in Shushan assembled together on the 13th day thereof, and on the 14th thereof, and on the 15th day of the same, they rested and made it a day of feasting and gladness. Therefore do the Jews of the villages that dwell in the unwalled towns make the 14th day of the month of Adar a day of gladness and feasting, and a good day of sending portions to one another. And Mordechai wrote these things and sent letters unto all the Jews that were in the provinces of the king Achashverosh, both nigh and far.
Okay. Yeah, I thought to until 22, but that's okay.
Well, I can't see the rest of it.
Yeah. Sorry, I was looking at
Okay. So both nigh and far, to enjoin them that they should keep the 14th day of the month Adar and the 15th day of the same yearly. The days wherein the Jews had rest from their enemies, and the month which was turned unto them from sorrow to gladness, and from mourning into a good day, that they should make them days of feasting and gladness, and of sending portions to one another and gifts to the poor.
Thank you.
So that's where Mishloach Manot comes.
Yeah. So first of all, this is the maybe summary of Benahachochu, and it says also it's a very known idiom, Hebrew idiom from Kehilat Esther. It's here the Benahachochu. This is the version of vice versa. I would like to share something.
I have a problem.
Huh?
I have a problem with the necessity for the killing of all these people.
Yes. We will talk about it.
Okay.
It is not easy. Yeah. It's not easy, and it's never. I think it's never has been easy for many commentaries. Talk about it, and we just to summarize a little bit the older version that we had here. Okay, I just put some kind of by a figure like this. In the beginning, we have Haman versus Mordechai, when Haman is very, very powerful and successful and all that. And Mordechai is the opposite. We have Vashti versus Esther. We have non-Jews versus Jews. And the inversion of the Nahafochu happened in the middle. Some would say remember when Achashverosh didn't sleep well, and he asked to bring in the book of the history, and that's all. Or in chapter 4, when Mordechai tells Esther, you don't think you will run away, but you will all be. I mean, you will be killed, you and your family, but Rebach v'Hatzala you le'am Israel. I mean, the Jewish people will be rescued. And then she, Ba'asher Avadeti, this is a very, I think, very strong moment of inversion. Okay, so, and then in the end, we know that everything is the opposite. But we have another interesting inversion here that usually we don't talk about. It's the relationship between the king and his consultants, and we can focus on Haman, but even not only Haman. And in the beginning, it was Achashverosh and his consultant, who were all men, and the Vashti or Esther were, in another house. They were very weak, very not, they were called a queen, but I don't know what power they had. Very small and weak position. And in the end, we really see Esther gets to her position, as I said before, I think. and the closeness between the queen and the king as a couple, as two leaders. And Haman is like getting smaller and weak. And just I wanted to focus also on this inversion, because usually we talk about Haman all the time. Now let's move on to what Lynn said, unless you want to say something about this. Okay, this is another verse about it. Next discussion. So, about this thing of the Jewish people, when we read this, we don't feel comfortable about this, right? All this killing and thousands of people and really the book of Esther was thought not to be, or was not. It was I forgot the word. Shanui b'machloket, controversial, right?
Reversal of
Controverse.
איך?
Controverse.
כן, it was a controversial book, and the sages and the editors of the Torah did not want to include it in the corpus of the Bible in the beginning. I mean, and for two reasons. One is the reason that God is not present in the story. Not any mention of any name. God has many names and not even one. But we will talk also about this. I think we will have time for this. Although his presence is, he is presented. No, הוא נוכח בסיפור. We can feel he's there, but he's not mentioned. So this is one reason, and the other reason is this: the thing of the Jews killed thousands of people, and they made a feast of it to all the generations, and it's problematic. And I wrote myself. I know that the other reason is that they was. They didn't want that the other nations will say, "Oh, they didn't want the hatred of the other nations to increase." We know that we don't need any more reasons for the hatred of the other nations. And there is the establisher of the Protestant religion in, I think, in the 14th century said, really, actually these poor and allegedly weak Jewish people want to kill us all, and all that. See what they have done in Esther's story. So it's not. It is problematic. It is problematic, and people, and also scholars, Bible scholars, not Jewish. who was not Jewish, are taking this issue into like a critic, like something to critic the Jewish.
אני רוצה משהו להעיר לגבי מה שאמר. God doesn't enjoy killing people, any people. Why? How? Sages said, אני אומרת בעברית ואת תנסי, חכמים אמרו, בספר שמות, כשחצו את הים והמצרים טובעו במעמקי הים, פצחו בשירה, מרים פצחה בשיר, וחז"ל טענו, לא יכול להיות, אלוהים אמר להם, מה זה אתם שרים?
ידיי שטובעים בים ואתם אומרים שירה.
ואתם אומרים שירה. זאת אומרת, זה אומר לנו שאלוהים לא אוהב, וגם פה אני חושבת שאלוהים לא אהב את זה, שהם, כי אין פה, כשאליהו הרג 500 עובדי אלילים על הר כרמל, הייתה סיבה. הסיבה היחידה שאפשר להרוג זה כאשר בעבודה זרה. עובדים עבודה זרה, אלוהים מקנא, בבקשה תהרגו. אבל פה לא הייתה עבודה זרה, ואני חושבת שאלוהים לא אהב את זה, שהרגו גם את הילדים, מה הילדים של האמן? Kids are shame.
Another question. What did the 10 sons of Haman? But you know, yeah, maybe Rivka said God doesn't like this killing for killing, but the text doesn't tell us this. The text said we try to read the text and figure out in the pshat way, okay, more in the pshat. What was the author thinking? Why did he write this and all that? It's not drash. Drash is, you know, you can many legends are
But
maybe, yeah, can Adina.
The less we make drash.
Also, everybody everywhere in the Persian Empire was informed that the Jews will now be permitted to defend themselves. And most of the people then said, okay, we don't want to have anything to do with this. So if there were still people who came to fight against the Jews and try to kill the Jews, those were the people that the Jews had to kill to defend themselves. And because everybody else said, I don't want to have anything to do with this, you know, I'm not participating. But there were those who participated. But I think it also goes back to when God tells us to wipe out the memory of Amalek, and it doesn't happen. And here we have Amalek again. And Haman being a descendant of Amalek, that this is, and it's a lesson to us that if we don't defend ourselves, if we don't stand up for ourselves, and we don't eliminate the people who are trying to kill us, they'll just keep trying, and which is evidenced across history. That if we have to be strong and defend ourselves because we are all we have.
Well, I think that's utopia. I don't see there's any way that we can wipe out every person in the world who is against us. And I think there has to be moderation. And this is something about the story that I really, like Sharon said, feel very, very uncomfortable with. Because it was indiscriminate killing. I'm sure it was killing of children.
We're not told that it's indiscriminate killing. We are not told that it's indiscriminate killing. We're told this many men were killed. We're not saying this many people were killed. We're saying this many men were killed. And but they also tell us that people were afraid to fight the Jews. So these were the people who came to fight the Jews, even though they knew that the Jews were going to defend themselves. So it's not stated anywhere that this was indiscriminate killing. And from the point of view of the time we live in now, you might think so or interpret it that way, but that's not what it tells us.
Yes, I want to emphasize on the verse of when Haman, the decree of Haman was to kill. It reminded us the Shoah, to kill the children, women, no matter all of them. Here, I'm not saying. I just watch the difference between the verses. Here we are told the number, and we doesn't, not one word about children and women and like this. Okay, this is a strong difference between.
Except for the 10 sons of Haman. I don't know how old the son.
Of the 10 sons of Haman. Yeah, I don't. Nobody tells us what age for them, but yeah, Haman. You're right. Yeah.
I think the moment when Haman was punished, the king take his ring and he was killed. The story is finished. Why? There is no more danger vis-a-vis the Jews. The danger past is in past, no danger. So why kill 300 people?
But I think
The danger is not past.
I think what Adina said is that look at number 16. Again, 16, yes, it's right. The rest of the Jews were gathered together and Amod al Nafsham. Amod al Nafsham.
הגנו על נפשם, הגנו על עצמם, שאמרה.
I mean, it's not very clear from the text, but maybe really they were the people that read the first decree and then the second decree. Remember, it's all, it's all this logistics, which is complicated by itself. The second decree said, oh, we don't have to, so they now they are the strong, and maybe, so yeah, maybe the population was divided to the hostile and not hostile. But yeah, still it's not very comfortable to read this. But I think, but I do think that the story tells us to not only to pray to God and to do nothing for ourselves, but yeah, to do things. And what Esther did is Mordechai and Esther is exactly this. Because we have few more minutes, I really want to move on to another thing that I wanted to ask you your opinion about. Okay, so first question. I have two questions. First question: when was this story written? Okay, so we talked in the beginning where is the story takes place? Where does the story take place? What is the geographical area and all that? We saw the map and all that, and also we talked about the period of this story. It doesn't matter if it is a legend or not. It doesn't matter. So according to the first, maybe someone else can read. Gary, did you read? Did you read that? Can you read it?
From the very first words, now it came to pass in the days of Ahasuerus, it did not seem to have been written during the events, but after them. However, the widespread use of Persian words in the absence of any Greek influence, suggesting that it has probably been written before the end of the Persian administration, as early as its time, that is, not later than the 4th century BCE.
Thank you. And even I would say not later than if this, the Hashvarosh is really the Artaxerxes the first, not later than 425 years BCE. Okay, so in the 40 years of his kingdom. Now, why? I think it is correct, and I will tell you why. And I think there is another reason. First of all the special words in Persian, but also look how the author is referring to the king. So for Haman, he doesn't have any problem to say he's evil, he's like this. The king, even though he agreed with Haman in chapter 3, and he was quite, he behaved like quite, not very wise man with the story of Vashti and afterwards and all that. The story is very delicate or gentle, not adin im hamelech. He's very gentle with the king. There's no critic to the king. This is what I want to say. Do you agree? I mean, the author knows that someone will read this, and it's better. It is better for him not to be careful about what he says about it. Okay, so there's a little bit politics. Yeah, it's politics everywhere, and I think. What do we say?
Ora,
Yeah.
where do you think this was written?
Oh, this is a good. I think it. I think it's Persia. Even maybe in Shushan. I mean, it's this. Why not? I mean, the language, the characters, I think the author.
And what was the political situation there at this time?
What do you mean? I mean, the king was.
I mean, why do you think why was it written? There's usually some political reason.
Why was it written?
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, there's usually a political agenda behind a time when things are written.
That's it. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying that it was the first, maybe not the first years of the kingdom of Ahasuerus, but during his kingdom, and probably the author was a little bit knew that he has to be careful about what he writes, what he's writing on the king, about the king. He knew that not to critique very directly the king, otherwise he would be.
There is also a strange.
How do you say? Do you agree with this? We have many Persian words. We have very well. The author knows very well the customs, the habits of the logistics, and the management and administration of the kingdom of the Persian kingdom. He knows what he talks about, but he is careful.
There's also a strange reference in chapter 10, where it's stated that all those things that happened are recorded in the annals of the kings of Media and Persia.
Yes.
Do we have those annals?
I don't know if we have.
But the author knew. The author knew that there were annals of Persians and Medes.
Well, we know that according, even before that in the story, we know that the Persians were very organized, very well organized. And also, this is how Ahasuerus discovered the story about Mordechai. And and look how all the logistics is organized and everything. And as I think Sharon said maybe a few times ago, that this is a real big empire, very well organized empire about all the logistics and all the shlichim. What the word? So yeah, and I mean that they wrote, they had documented for everything. I would like to have another one question. Okay. After reading this story, where do you think is God hiding? Because he is there or she is there. Not sure. Where is he hiding? What do you think?
לא שמענו את השאלה. לא שמענו.
איפה אלוהים בסיפור? Where if Elohim is there, I really think, because we know Revach V'Atzala and all that, we talked about it. So, and of course, this is like a midrash. Now we are creating a midrash. Why? Where do you think Elohim can be in this story?
I think God prepare prepare the solution of the genocide of what will be happen. He sent Esther to the palace, and he make the process. כל התהליכים הוא זה. But now אני מתחרטת, because I said before I said that God don't want to be people to be killed. So אם הוא עשה את התהליכים, איך הוא אפשר מוות? אז פה יש contravention. את יכולה להגיד את זה בבקשה?
Yeah. I mean, Rivka says God was the conductor of everything. Okay, so he was he caused everything to happen, but if he doesn't like the killing for killing, how is going to
Laura, isn't there something in the Hebrew that someone says that gets translated as Elohim by some?
Yeah. Okay, I will say there is a midrash. Chazal, the sages said that. I forgot about it. That every time that it is said Amelech Achashverosh, King Achashverosh, it is King Achashverosh. But every time it says Hamelech without the name of Achashverosh, it refers to God. Okay. I want to suggest to you where I think God is. Okay. And of course, it's this is a midrash by me. So you really, it's really just a thought. I think God is hiding in Esther because, well, first of all, we are told that Esther is extremely beautiful, extremely her beauty is really amazing and unusual, and it repeats itself and over referring to her beauty repeats itself, and then we see Esther grown up to be a queen and a powerful queen and very, very wise. So if I can say, in philosophy, in philosophy of religion, we say God is omnipotent, omniscience, and perfectly moral, which we don't have to agree about this. But this is what God is refers to be in philosophy. Now Esther is very like some kind of a perfect human being, some kind of very, first of all, she's beautiful and wise and successful, very successful. I mean, she all what she did or tried to do, she had success. But of course, it's only. And also, after look who asked to kill people in the next day. Esther said it. Esther, the shy little young girl in the beginning, says she wants another day that the son of Haman will be and Haman or son of Haman will be hanged and all that. Esther is conducting all this on the other day of Purim. Yeah, this is my opinion, and also because she's called Esther, so with the word second. Anything else? Something that I don't really understand is the first verse of number 10 of chapter 10. We will not read all what we didn't read, but the king Ahasuerus laid a tribute upon the land and upon the eyes of the sea. Why do they tell us this? I'm really asking. I didn't read about this, but do you have any idea? Okay, so just to end this beautiful story, I think, unless you have another there, I just want to try to yeah, you hear, right? You read, you hear it?
בכל זאת, יש פליאה איך בזמן ההוא שהנשים היו מודרות, פה ושם אנחנו עם נשים חזקות, מובילות, מכריעות, אולי בזכות יופיין, אולי בזכות חולשתו הסקסואלית של הגבר, חולשת הגבר, אבל יש פה ושם, אנחנו רואים איזו דמות פורצת של אישה. אני מקווה שהם הבינו, אתם יודעים עברית, התלמידים, החברים, נכון?
יש פה חבר'ה שיודעים מצוין עברית, ויש פה...
כן.
אוקיי, תודה רבה.
תודה לך, אורה, תודה. חג פסח שמח.
תודה רבה.
כן.
שבת שלום.
שבת שלום.
שבת שלום.
שמח ובריא.
See you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, Aura.
Aura.
Really interesting. Thank you.